Hey YouTube, MDEX Music here. Welcome back. Glad to see you're still with us for our seminar on reharmonization using Mapping Tonal Harmony Pro. Today what we're going to get into, coming down the home stretch here, what we're going to get into today is extended dominance, which we talked about before, with 2 minor 7 substitutions. This is just going to give you some more variety, some more colors to play around with. It's not essential. It's also some extra flexibility you have with regard to your melody note, maybe being something that doesn't jibe well with the already existing extended dominant chord that we talked about. So if you haven't done so already, definitely check out the other video we have on extended dominance and how to use them. We'll recap them briefly real quick before we get into it, but it's definitely worth checking out so you understand what we're talking about today. So in the other video that I just mentioned, what we did was we had a target. In our case, since we're in the key of B flat, we're going to say is B flat, and we worked backwards from there. We kind of reverse engineered our chord progression. All right, so we had B flat. So we had B flat as our target, and then we just said, okay, what's that chord's dominant 7 chord? We said, oh, that's F7. And then we asked ourselves, what is F7's dominant 7 chord? We got C7, and then we just kept going back. What's that chord's 5 chord? What's that chord's 5 chord? And we had this whole extended dominant sequence that sounds like this. So that's how we got originally our extended dominant sequence. The 5 of 1 of the 5 of 1 of the 5 of 1, and it just kept going and moving around. Really, really very fluid. So you have all these arrows up top in Mapping Tonal Harmony that let you know your bass is moving by way of a fifth, which is really good. That's kind of one of the things we talked about our bass wanting to do, fifths and stepwise movement. So we've got a series of those arrows going there. And if you want to see the chord scales, you see all mixo, 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 because they're all 5s of something. So you have constant mixolydian chord scales underneath your chords. So now all we're really going to do is swap out some of these chords for 2 minor 7 chords. And this is, like we said before, just going to create a bit more variety for you, give you more flexibility with regard to harmonizing with your melody, and allow you to just not always use dominant 7 chords if you don't want to. So the first thing we're going to look at is this D7. So this D7 comes from A7, but the A7 is really not the 5 of D7, it's really the 5 of our 3 chord. In B flat, D minor is our 3 chord, A7 really kind of wants to go there. If we hadn't have messed with it and hadn't have done the extended dominant conversation in a vacuum, this would go there. So if we swap out the D7 we have existing with that, we're left with this, which is actually kind of cool because it gives you like a 2-5 sort of sound, which is really why the D minor we just added is not there. It's actually there. It's actually the related 2 of G7. So what you've done by swapping out that D minor for A's 1 is really interpolated the 2 of C minor 7 into the progression. So now you have this D minor 7, G7, that goes to C7. You have this 5-1, 5-1 continuing on. But we can do it again. If we say, let's take C7 and make that minor. Let's make that a 2 minor 7 chord. What you're really doing, boom, is this. Now you have 2, 5, 1. A straight up 2-5-1 to our original target. All right, so you have a context here. Instead of 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, you have 5-2-5-1, 2-5-1, so to speak. All right, so if we'll put the brackets back on so we can see the bass movements. There it is. So you can see the brackets indicating a 2-5 movement, and you can see the arrows indicating that your bass is moving by way of a fifth. And of course, you could always also use any of the other techniques that we've talked about with regard to this one and kind of mix and match your way through your reharmonization or your arrangement, like sub 5s. Like for this A7 here, I could use its sub 5 if I wanted to, which is on the other side of its circle. Its sub 5 is E flat 7. Those 2 chords have the same tritone within them, so that's why they're swappable or interchangeable. We talked about that previously in the series, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, like I said, check that out. So now we have this really cool half-step movement in the bass. So we've got stepwise movement, we've got the fourths and fifths, we got all these really cool techniques all kind of jumbled together, and it makes for a really colorful, rich, dense, textured harmony, which is what we're striving for. So in our ultimate arrangement of Oh Danny Boy, all this stuff occurs in measures 13 through 16. The only thing that we really didn't do, we had changed this earlier. The only thing we didn't do in our arrangement is we just kind of left that alone and left it as the D7. But it works either way because of what the melody is doing. So in our arrangement, we got a 2-5 there, ultimately resolving to our target, which is going to sound like this. So there you have it. There's our lesson on extended dominance with 2 minor 7 substitutions. As always, I hope that was helpful. Keep the comments and questions coming. Click on like and subscribe if you find any of this at all helpful. It really helps create more content. So please come back for our next video on passing diminished chords. Thanks for watching.